Hi, boys and girls. It's me again. So I'm back to read one of my favorite books, and it's called Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. But before I do, I was wondering if you remembered the bunny rhyme that I showed you yesterday. Remember, it's an adding rhyme instead of a takeaway rhyme, and it starts with one little bunny. One little bunny wondering what to do. Along came another bunny, and now there are two. 1, 2. Two little bunnies hopping under a tree. Along came another, and now there are 3. 3 little bunnies jump by my door. Along came another, a gray one, and now there are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 snuggly bunnies. 4 little bunnies, so fluffy and alive. Another bunny joined them, a white one. And now there are 5. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 little bunnies ready for some fun. Hop, hop away. And now there are none. No bunnies. Well, if you like that bunny rhyme, you can make bunnies at home. I sent you a template. And there's another bunny rhyme that I'll send you about 5 little bunnies, and they jump away, kind of like the 5 little ducks. So you can play both of those games with your bunnies when you make them. Well, I'm ready to read my book, and I thought I would try to put my phone over here on the stand and read this way. I really like to read holding the book because then you can see my face. And when I read, I like for you to see my face because I make lots of expressions when I read. And when I read, I want you to see those expressions because they tell you a lot about the book that I'm reading. So this book is called Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. It's by Candace Fleming. Now, you'll see there's 1, 2, 3 bunnies. Now, I'm reading this book because it's about 2 things that we've been talking about. It's about seeds growing in a garden, the farmer's garden, and it's about bunnies, and we've been talking about them too. So, this is a fun book. Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. All right, here we go. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and then gobbling them all up. Do you see Mr. McGreely up here in his window? He's thinking about it. But he never tried it until this spring, said Mr. McGreely. This spring, I'm going to plant a garden. Do you see he's at the garden store and he's looking at all the tools? So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreely. I'll soon fill my tummy with fresh, crisp veggies. Who else is watching his garden grow? Do you see them? The 3 little bunnies are watching everything he does. But one night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat. Muncha, muncha, muncha. They got in his garden and ate his lettuce. The next morning, Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts and he was angry. He built a small wire fence all the way around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. Look who's looking over the wall. The bunnies are peeking over the wall. And that night, the sun went down and the moon came up. Tippy, 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 pat. Spring hurtled, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. They hurtled right over that wire fence and they ate some more of the vegetables. Well, the next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his nibbled leaves and his gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden fence, a wall right behind the wooden fence, all around his vegetable garden. He huffed. Those flop ears will never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. So he built a big wall behind the little wire fence. I think I said wood earlier. Behind the wire fence. And that night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, tippy, 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 pat, dig, scrabble, scratch, 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 spring hurtle, dash, 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 muncha, muncha, muncha. They dug a hole under the wooden fence and jumped over the metal wire fence, and they ate his vegetables. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was really, really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench of water outside the tall wooden fence and behind the small wire fence all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those pufftails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. Oh, look who's watching. Oh, look who's watching. That night, the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat, dive, paddle, splash, 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 dig, scrabble, scratch, 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 spring, hurtle, dash, 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 muncha, muncha, muncha. They swam through the water. They went under the wooden wall. They went over the wire fence. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was, oh, look, it's all capital letters, and it's got a great big exclamation point. That means he was really mad. He was furious, it says. So he hammered, and he blocked, and he sawed, and he stopped. He drilled, and he filled, and he trapped, and he locked, and he built a huge, enormous thing. Look, it's like a castle wall. He built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench, outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, and around the vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch-whiskered animals for sure, he explained. They can't get through it. They can't get under it. They can't get over it. Nobody, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden. Oh, they're watching again. That night, the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 stop! The three bunnies looked and they smelled and they touched that huge, enormous thing before them and tippy, 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 pat. The bunnies hopped away. They couldn't get through the castle wall. The next morning, when Mr. McGreeley saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. See that word? It says happy. And I beat the bunnies, he said. I beat the bunnies. And so Mr. McGreeley did a jiggly wiggly victory dance. And he got his basket. He climbed over. He jumped across. He squeezed between. He crawled under until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, he said, finally, I can gather the vegetables all for myself. Oh, do you see what I see? Carrots, lettuce, peas, tomatoes. And with his basket overflowing, he reached inside to get something yummy. Ah, look, he's putting carrots in now. And inside, Muncha, 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 were the three little bunnies eating his vegetables. So look what the farmer did. He shared. They had a picnic. Well, boys and girls, I hope that you had fun listening to that story. It's one of my favorites, and I hope that these shorter circle times are a little bit easier for you. You know, Muncha, 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 those words start with the letter M. Do you see the M? M. M for Muncha, Muncha, Muncha. M for Mrs. Fryman. M for Mom. You can practice your letters at home. Go look around the house and see if you can find something that starts with the letter M. And then put your finger up and practice writing it. Don't forget to do these things every day, because when you practice your letters and you practice the sounds, you'll figure out reading, and pretty soon you'll be able to read for yourself. I can't wait. Well, I'll talk to you soon. Bye, boys and girls.